I want to start off this video by saying I like Palworld. Despite the title, I actually do have some good things to say about it. For the uninformed, Palworld is an open world creature collecting survival game with crafting, third-person shooting, automation, multiplayer co-op, and so much more. You might know this as Pokemon with guns, but to be honest, the gameplay is much closer to Ark survival. The only Pokemon aspect of the game is the creatures, which are known as pals. These creatures possess moves and abilities just like Pokemon do, but they're handled in such a unique way, I don't feel like I'm playing anything related to Pokemon at all. Gameplay-wise, this game is great. It takes many different ideas from many different games and mashes them into something beautiful. I see people criticize this, but I don't think taking ideas is a problem so long as the game takes it and twists it and makes it its own thing. And that's where we start running into issues. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll already know I've been incredibly critical of Palworld. Ever since the first few trailers released back in 2021 and 2022, this game has been dubbed as Pokemon with guns. And it's not just because there's creatures that are similar to Pokemon. It's because Palworld has borrowed a bit more than they should have in the design department. From Grass-type Cinderace, to bootleg Luxray, to Goodra and Meganium fused, to literally pasting Galarian Meowth's face onto the body of a random cat, to Walmart Cobalion, to Lycanroc Afternoon form, to Lilligant with a few extra steps, to whatever this is inheriting Sobble's fin, to fake Lucario, to Staraptor at home, to sexy Mewtwo, to that's just a woolly Eevee, to, in my opinion, the worst of all, a Scorpion with Giratina's head. I haven't even went over all of them, those are just the ones I felt were the most egregious. I want to make it clear that it's okay for certain monsters to look similar between franchises. Sometimes monsters just share the same origin. A perfect example of this is Pokemon and Cassette Beasts. Frostlass is based on Yuki Onna from Japanese folklore. Cassette Beasts also made a monster based on Yuki Onna called Spooky Onna. It shares the same origin as Frostlass, but it stands on its own, and you're able to recognize they're just based on the same thing. Palworld, however, got way too comfortable taking bits and pieces from Pokemon, and not even doing much to put their own spin on it. I also wanted to be clear that I'm not coming at this from a copyright perspective. That is for Game Freak and Nintendo to worry about. I care because I love monster catchers. Palworld has genuinely good gameplay, and it's weighed down by what I can only describe as laziness. And before people in the comments tell me the game is a parody and it's meant to be based on Pokemon, I guess the same developer's other game, Craftopia, is also a parody because there's clearly borrowed characters from Breath of the Wild here. It's not even just Palworld's monster designs that were borrowed either. The UI to Palworld is incredibly similar to Ark, the game that it already took a lot of ideas from for the gameplay. And according to this Twitter user, Palworld is comprised of Unreal Engine 5's default assets. My first impression of this game is that it was a passionless money grab. After having played it, my feelings remain the same despite how fun it is, but there's still hope. This game is currently in its alpha stages and it just sold 4 million copies in under 3 days. There's clearly something special here, and now they have a massive community behind them. I really hope this lights a fire under them to at least try and be original. Redesign the obviously stolen monsters, come up with your own UI, and maybe even come up with your own assets and art style. I know this is all wishful thinking, but it's what I would love to see from Palworld in the distant future. To wrap things up, I just want to share a tweet that I think a lot of people need to hear. Palworld is a creatively bankrupt asset flip with plagiarism, and Game Freak need to improve the quality of Pokemon are both sentences that can and should coexist. Couldn't have said it better myself.